sun was sinking behind the jagged Arizona hills when the young Apache girl, Naya, stepped into the dusty main street of Dry Creek. Her clothes were torn from travel, her braids covered with desert grit, and her dark eyes carried the weight of miles walked alone. The townsfolk paused their business for only a moment, long enough to stare, and then returned to their gossip, their trading, and their suspicious whispering. Dry Creek was not a place known for kindness. It was the kind of border town where drifters disappeared, cattle thieves were hanged by breakfast, and anyone who looked different drew quick judgment. And Naya, with her trembling hands and thin frame, knew she didn't belong. She stood in the open street, unsure where to go next, her heart pounding as she whispered to herself, "No man wants me. Not even my own people." It was not self-pity, only the raw truth of what she had lived. Her tribe had scattered after a brutal raid that took her father and burned their winter camp. She had survived only because she was away gathering herbs. When she returned to ash and silence, she tried wandering from clan to clan, camp to camp, but loss made people fearful, and fearful people shut their doors. At last, she had walked toward the nearest settler town, hoping fate might offer one final mercy. But the first face she saw was not mercy at all. It was a cowboy with a smirk. "Look what wandered in," he muttered to his friend. "A stray." They laughed and walked into the saloon. Naya lowered her head. She was ready to walk away when the saloon doors slammed open again, this time not with mockery, but with command. A tall rancher with a weathered hat stepped into the street. His name was Cole Harding, owner of one of the largest cattle spreads in the territory, a man whose quiet voice carried the force of a gunshot. He had seen the look in Naya's eyes, fear mixed with a long, lonely courage. Cole approached her slowly, hands spread open, not wanting to frighten her. "Miss," he said gently, "are you lost?" She swallowed hard and lifted her gaze. Her voice cracked. "No man wants me. I have no people left." Cole didn't laugh. He didn't turn away. Something in her words hit him deep, maybe because he, too, knew what it was to lose everything. His wife had passed 2 winters ago, leaving their ranch cold and hollow. Maybe, he thought, 2 lonely souls crossing paths at the end of a long day wasn't chance at all. "No man wants you?" Cole repeated quietly. "Maybe you've met the wrong men." The town sheriff, a wiry fellow with a stiff mustache, walked up, eyeing Naya with suspicion. "She can't stay here, Cole. You know how people get." Cole stepped between the sheriff and the girl. "She's staying with me." The sheriff raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" "Folks will talk." Cole's jaw clenched. "Let 'em." For the first time in weeks, hope flickered in Naya's chest. Cole guided her toward his horse, lifting her gently as if she weighed no more than a shadow. They rode into the glowing desert, the sun painting the land red and gold as if blessing their path. When they reached the Harding Ranch, Cole introduced her to the quiet world he kept. Horses grazing in wide-open pastures, windmill creaking softly in the breeze, the smell of fresh hay drifting from the barn. It felt peaceful, something she had forgotten existed. "You can stay here as long as you need," Cole said. "Nobody's turning you away." At first she barely spoke. She moved quietly around the house, helping with chores, cooking meals, feeding horses, patching clothes. But Cole noticed the strength hidden beneath her silence. She worked with the spirit of someone who had survived storms. One night, as coyotes howled under the moon, Cole found her sitting alone outside, staring at the stars with tears sliding down her cheeks. "What's wrong?" he asked softly. She whispered, "If I stay, will it bring trouble?" Cole sat beside her. "Maybe, but letting someone suffer alone brings worse." She looked at him then, really looked, and found something steady in his eyes, something that told her she was finally safe. Naya breathed deeply, letting the desert night settle around her. "Thank you," she murmured. "For not turning away." Cole nodded once. "Everyone deserves some place to belong." She didn't say anything more, but her heart felt lighter than it had since before the raid. Little did they know, a new danger was already tracking its way toward the Harding Ranch, one that would test both of them in ways neither had imagined. The past, after all, never stays buried in the Wild West. For the first weeks on the Harding Ranch, Naya learned what it meant to wake without fear. She rose before dawn, helping Cole saddle the horses, feeding the chickens, grinding corn for breakfast, and learning the rhythms of settler life while teaching Cole things from her own world, how to read thunder from the mountains, How to listen to the ground before a storm. How to calm a skittish horse with nothing but a slow breath and a gentle hum. Cole found himself watching her more often than he expected. Not with possession, but with a quiet admiration for her resilience. The girl who once said, "No man wants me," now moved with a steadiness that reminded him of someone reborn. But peace in the Wild West is always borrowed time. One morning, Cole noticed horse tracks near the northern fence line. Deep prints, fresh, made by hard-ridden mounts. That same evening, as a storm brewed on the horizon, a rider arrived at the ranch house carrying a warning. A group of outlaws had been roaming the region. Men who attacked camps, stole supplies, and left no survivors. Naya felt cold dread settle in her stomach. Those tracks were not strangers to her. They echoed the same chaos that had taken her family. Cole saw the terror flicker behind her eyes. "I won't let anything happen to you," he said simply. But Naya shook her head. "You cannot fight them alone." Cole touched the rifle leaning by the door. "I won't be." Over the next days, they prepared the ranch the way settlers always did when trouble whispered on the wind, stockpiling water, repairing fences, sharpening tools that could double as weapons. Naya moved with purpose, her movements fast and precise. She knew the ways raiders approached, how they watched from the hills, how their silence was more dangerous than their gunfire. One night, as thunder rolled softly beyond the mountains, she sat at the kitchen table, staring at the flames in the lantern. "Why did you bring me here, Cole?" she asked. His voice stayed gentle. "Because no one deserves to be left wandering alone." She looked down at her hands. "You don't fear me?" He chuckled softly. "I fear a lot of things. You ain't one of them." Outside hooves pounded in the dark. The sound was distant, but close enough to freeze both of them. Cole extinguished the lantern. Naya moved to the window, her breath slow and controlled. Figures appeared in the dark, shadows moving like wolves. The raiders had come. Cole grabbed his rifle and whispered, "Stay behind me." But Naya stepped forward instead. "No, I know their ways. Let me help." Her voice wasn't the voice of a frightened girl anymore. It was the steady, fierce tone of someone reclaiming her past. The first outlaw kicked in the barn door. Expecting cattle, what he found instead was Cole waiting, rifle raised. The gunshot cracked through the storm-dark air. Chaos erupted. The outlaws charged the ranch house. But Naya moved like wind between them, using speed, instinct, and every lesson her father once taught her. She warned Cole where they were moving, where they'd strike next. How many were circling behind the corral? Together they fought not as strangers, but as a team bound by survival. When the final outlaw fled into the darkness, the storm finally broke over the land, rain washing the dust and gunpowder from the earth. Cole leaned against the porch railing, breathing hard, his hat soaked, his shirt torn. Naya stood beside him, rain sliding down her face like tears she refused to shed. "You saved my life," Cole said. But she shook her head. "No, you gave me a life worth saving." In the growing thunder, something unspoken passed between them, a bond stronger than fear, deeper than gratitude, a bond that felt like belonging. Over the following weeks, word spread across Dry Creek of how the rancher and the Apache girl had stood their ground together. Some folks changed their tune. Some didn't. The West was a place slow to accept anything different. But Cole didn't care. He rode beside Naya with pride, and she walked the ranch with her head high, knowing she had earned every piece of peace. One evening, as the sun dipped into gold behind the pastures, she turned to Cole. "I thought no man would want me," she whispered. Cole smiled gently. "Then it's a good thing you found a better man." She felt her chest warm. "And what do I call this place now?" "Home," he answered. "If you want it." She nodded slowly. A small smile forming, something rare, something new. For the first time since her childhood, she felt whole. In the heart of the Wild West, where survival shaped destinies, Naya had found what she believed she would never have again, a place to belong, a man who respected her, and a future stronger than the past that once haunted her.